see your monsters, I see your pain. Tell me your problem.
Hello everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Rachi Pagar from BSed English 2. I am here today to share my thoughts about the concept of grammaring, grammaticalizing, error correction versus feedback, spoken versus written grammar, grammatical assessment, and last is the pedagogical issues. So let's get started. Grammaring. Various authors have attempted to define the term grammaring differently. A linguist named Larson Freeman says that grammaring can be seen as a fifth skill. Her definition of the word is as follows: the ability to use grammar structures accurately, meaningfully, and appropriately. According to Larson Freeman in 2001, grammar is to be seen as a skill and not as a competence. That is, when we speak or write, we are always involved in doing grammar, whether consciously or unconsciously. Hence, this process of doing grammar is termed grammaring. Other authors named Richards and Smith in 2002 says grammaring is sometimes referred to the process by which language learners use grammar to create messages through grammaticalizing or adding grammar to a sequence of words to create finer meaning distinctions. The linguist Diane Larson Freeman proposed grammaring as an important process in second language acquisition. Grammaring emphasizes grammar as a dynamic process rather than a system of rules. In grammaring, there are practical activities that falls into three categories, and that is according to Larson Freeman, which are the form, the meaning, and the use. So next is grammaticalizing. Grammaticalizing is a present participle of grammaticalization, which means a process of language change by which words representing objects and actions, specifically noun and verbs, become grammatical markers, or what we called affixes, prepositions, and so on. Grammaticalization has been defined as the change whereby lexical items and constructions come in certain linguistic contexts to serve grammatical functions, and once grammaticalized, continue to develop new grammatical functions. For example, the Old English willan, which means to want or to wish, has now become a modern English auxiliary verb will, which expresses intention or simply futurity. Simply put, grammaticalization is the process now in which a lexical word loses some or all of its lexical meaning and starts to fulfill a more grammatical function. When grammaticalization takes place, nouns and verbs which carry certain lexical meaning will develop over time into grammatical items such as auxiliaries, inflections, and so on. That would be all for grammaticalizing. So now, let's proceed to error correction versus feedback. So let's discuss first what is error correction. Error correction is a form of feedback given to learners on their use of language. All teachers would agree that correcting the errors of the students when they speak or write is one of the most difficult tasks in language teaching. There are so many issues a teacher has to consider, whether it is an error or a mistake. So now, let's talk about feedback. Feedback refers to the information that learners receive from their teachers about their performance, which will help them take self-corrective action and improve their achievement. Learners could receive feedback from several sources. It could be on themselves, on the learning task, fellow students, and on their teachers. The purpose of giving feedback in the classroom is to improve learner performance. It provides constructive advice and guidance to learners to their efforts to raise and improve their performance levels. So in simpler words, the difference between feedback and correction is feedback can be in a form of correction. It primarily exists to allow everyone to see what is needed to improve or change, while error correction is a form of feedback. Correcting an error or something is a way or a form of feedbacking or giving feedback. Therefore, feedback and correction are related to each other because correction is a form of feedback or a way of giving feedback. So now, let's proceed to spoken versus written grammar. So speech and writing are distinctly different manifestations of language. When we say spoken grammar, the participants usually do not pay much attention to the lexical content and meaning, which are strictly used in written grammar. Spoken language often does not require strict rules, so it is less rigid and more flexible than the written language. Moreover, people communicate with each other anytime and anywhere, so most of the frequency of the spoken language is informal and less academic. So when we say written grammar, people use complete sentences, but in speaking, we usually use incomplete sentences. Written discourse are more content-central and message-coherent. I can say that language as writing is desituated, requiring time for planning, organizing, editing, and revising, while language as speech is intuitive, natural, dynamic, and situated. Next will be grammatical assessment. So in terms of assessment, grammar is central to language description and task-taker performance. Today, the knowledge of grammar is evaluated by its correct use in communication through listening, reading, speaking, and writing in second language. When working with grammar in terms of assessment, we need to be clear about whether we are interested in syntactic knowledge of grammar and to its meta-language. This means about the terminology we use to describe structures and tenses. Second is the communicative use of grammar, which means the learner's ability to select appropriate structures in active learning used to convey their desired meaning. The assessment of grammatical knowledge is carried out by having students recite rules, by having them analyze the text and state the rules, and by having them translate the text. In short, grammatical assessment was closely aligned to the goals of instruction and until recent time, a hardly topic of concern. So now let's proceed to pedagogical issues. Pedagogical comes from the Greek word paidagogikos, meaning teacher. Pedagogy can be defined as the art of teaching. Pedagogy involves being able to convey the knowledge and skills in a way that students can understand, remember, and apply. If it's pedagogical, then it concerns with teaching, from lesson plans to approaches to teaching, and even how the classroom looks. Pedagogy is a deliberate attempt of improving learning processes of students by considering the contents, the nature, the methods, the media, and other aspects of environment. There are some issues and conflicts in teaching grammar. So there are two main issues. First is the teaching large multi-level classes, and second is the catering to different learning styles. Teaching large multi-level classes often deals with many classes that do not conform the pedagogical norm of 20 to 25 students per classroom. The conflicts and challenges in this issue involves we may feel trapped with the problem of management if it's in a larger class. Most of the time, we are frustrated with a large amount of written work. It is also difficult to provide for individual learning styles, and we often feel out of control. And lastly, activating quiet students is difficult. So for the second issue, which is the catering to different learning styles, this refers to the learner's preferred way of learning. Some individuals are visual learners, while others prefer to learn by listening to target language. So there are 5 major approaches of pedagogical issues: the constructivist, the collaborative, the integrative, the reflective, and the inquiry-based learning. Having a well-throughout pedagogy can improve the quality of your teaching and the way students learn. It could help them gain a deeper grasp of fundamental material. So that would be all, everyone. I hope you had learned something from me today. So that's all. Have a great day.